Welcome to NYNJPA Weather, your severe weather source for the Northern Mid-Atlantic. I'm your meteorologist, Stephen DiMartino. I hope everyone had a great weekend. Looks like this week is going to start a bit hot and humid. Let's take a look at the forecast. First, we're going to start with the tropical Atlantic. I have an eye on a disturbance that is approaching the Leeward and Windward Islands in the Caribbean. This disturbance currently does not have a low-level circulation, but the atmospheric conditions are very favorable for development. There's very little shear, and the Atlantic Ocean obviously is very warm this time of year, and there is a potential for this disturbance to develop into a tropical depression likely in the next 3 to 4 days. So if you're heading towards the Eastern Caribbean, keep an eye on this disturbance. For at the very least, it's going to be some pretty significant showers and thunderstorms. And for the Central and Western Caribbean, I think towards this weekend, this disturbance might be an issue for some tropical development. So we'll have to keep an eye on this disturbance for sure. What about our neck of the woods? Well, let's head back to the United States. This is the water vapor satellite picture as of 9:30 a.m. And as you can see, high pressure is sitting off of the North Carolina and Virginia coast, which is producing a southwesterly wind throughout the entire northern mid-Atlantic. As a result, plenty of moisture at the lower and mid levels is being pumped into the northern mid-Atlantic, with temperatures unfortunately rising into the mid 80s to lower 90s over many locations in the New York City and Philadelphia metropolitan area. The heat index will easily push into the upper 90s. And tomorrow will be even hotter, with the potential for widespread mid 90s over much of the Delaware River Valley, pushing that heat index into the lower 100s. Is there any break in this heat and humidity? Well, I am keeping an eye on a cold front that is currently moving through the northern plains and heading into the western Great Lakes. Now, I have circled the primary disturbance or upper level trough associated with this cold front. And once again, this disturbance is moving towards eastern Canada, not towards the northern Atlantic. And the reason why is again because our large ridge that's in place over the plains and the Mississippi River Valley is forcing all of these disturbances north into Canada, and we really don't get a direct impact from these disturbances and these cold fronts, and therefore the cold air masses are not as impressive. So as a result, this cold front that moves through will not be as strong as it is currently over the Great Lakes at this time this morning. What I am expecting, though, is a potential for strong to severe thunderstorms tomorrow afternoon. Now, they won't be widespread, but the ones that do develop will be capable of very heavy downpours. I would not be surprised if we see some flash flooding out of these thunderstorms. Strong wind gusts will also be a concern, easily exceeding 50 miles per hour. I would not be surprised if we see a few 65 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts in some of these thunderstorms. Large hail and frequent lightning. Now, there is an isolated potential for a very weak tornado, much like other severe weather events. Although the lifting will not be organized, it will be intense. So where these thunderstorms do become severe, they will likely produce a significant impact to your travel destinations for tomorrow evening and tomorrow afternoon. So if you have any outdoor activities, I probably would be a little bit concerned for tomorrow afternoon, especially if you're outdoors. If you can, postpone it until Wednesday. Why? Well, I got a great forecast for you for the rest of the week. Let's take a look at the European model guidance. This is the European model guidance for Wednesday evening, and this is from the Penn State EWOL website, an excellent website for all your model data needs. Now, this high pressure system that is sitting over the Great Lakes by Wednesday evening will build into the entire northern mid-Atlantic and provide a significant change in the humidity. The humidity is going to drop like a rock on Wednesday morning and remain low all the way through Thursday as this high pressure system slowly moves towards the northern mid-Atlantic. Temperatures will remain in the 80s, slightly above normal, but the weather conditions will feel extremely pleasant because the humidity is so low. How low? Well, some locations in the northern mid-Atlantic, especially around northeastern Pennsylvania, will have lows in the lower 50s. I would not be surprised if a few locations in some secure valleys fall into the upper 40s with some of this dry air, especially with skies clearing out. So basically a very pleasant air mass is going to be in place, especially for this time of year. Fortunately, that won't last long. Once this high pressure system reaches southern Virginia and moves into North Carolina, our southerly wind flow will return starting basically Friday afternoon and continuing on through next weekend. Although I expect tranquil weather conditions through the end of this week and into next weekend, I do expect a return to temperatures into the lower 90s again and an increase in humidity back up into the mid 60s to lower 70s for dew points, which will mean a heat index once again in the mid to upper 90s. Also, by next weekend, look for a threat of a few isolated thunderstorms with this very humid air mass returning once again. But really, for the rest of the week, not bad for July. I mean, normally you have temperatures in the upper 80s with high amounts of humidity, should I say. And this time, the humidity is going to be low for the rest of this week. So we get through Monday and Tuesday, and the rest of the week is going to be rather pleasant. Thank you for trusting in NYNJPA Weather as your severe weather source for the Northern Mid-Atlantic. You can follow NYNJPA Weather during severe weather events via Twitter, Facebook, Tumblr, and of course on NYNJPAweather.com. I'm your meteorologist, Stephen DiMartino. Have an excellent day.